Joining me now from Salt Lake City is independent presidential candidate Evan McMullin. Thank you for coming back. It's great to talk to you again, sir. And I want to put back up this list of some of the Republicans who've come out against Donald Trump, and they are all happen to be from Utah. So Gary Herbert, the governor, Jason Chaffetz, congressman, Senator Mike Lee, very influential with conservatives, former Governor Huntsman, as well as Congresswoman Mia Love, who is also a Mormon African-American congresswoman from Utah. Have any people reached out to you, sir, to say that they are willing to support your candidacy now that they are not supporting Donald Trump?
Well, I'm in touch with most of them, and let me first of all say, Joy, it's great to be with you today. But I am in touch with most of them. But, you know, they're calling for Donald Trump to step down, which I think is a fine first step. But really what needs to happen is we need leadership in this country to stand up and not say just what they're against, but what they're for. And that's really what we need here. So this is a good first step. But frankly, we've known about Donald Trump's racism and his misogyny for a long time. We're hearing this tape from 2005 in which he brags about sexual assault. But this is nothing new. We knew this about him. So if they're going to take a step, not only those in Utah, but others across the country, in condemning Donald Trump and these comments and these activities, that's fine. But the next step needs to be saying what they're actually for. That is leadership. I believe we have a crisis of leadership in this country, Joy, and Donald Trump is exposing all of it.
Well, you talk about, you know, people saying what they're for. You have various Republicans. You have Christy Todd Whitman, who said at this point she's for Hillary Clinton, quite frankly, given the fact that it's much more likely, and it's always tough to say this to somebody who's running, it's much more likely that one of the major party candidates is going to win the White House. That's just the way that our system is built. So, you know, and I'm stealing this question a little bit from E.J. Dionne. Actually, I'm outright stealing it from E.J. Dionne. If Donald Trump is such a threat to the Republic, you know, the video we played at the top of you excoriating him, and I think a lot of Republicans, conservatives, agree with you, why wouldn't it then be more responsible to say, vote for Hillary Clinton, who is the most viable alternative to Donald Trump?
Well, it's about principle, Joy. I mean, Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton are both awful choices for this country. Sorry. And for those of us who are true conservatives, we can't look at Hillary Clinton and say, this is somebody we can support. What you're saying is that we should make perhaps a choice between the lesser of two evils. That's how we got into this position. That's how we get these terribly inferior, dangerous, destructive leaders. We need something better, and that's why at this point I'm calling on Americans to vote for me, all of them. Look, we're going to be either on the ballot or registered as a write-in in the vast majority of states across this country. What we're going to see in this debate tonight is an argument about Donald Trump's sexual assault. We're going to hear about his racism, I hope, too. We're going to hear about Hillary Clinton's corruption. These are important issues in this election because our two candidates have these problems. But that's not what we should be discussing. We should be talking about our economy, poverty. We should be talking about our national security, government reform, getting our spending under control so that we can do more good with our government as permitted by the Constitution. These are the things we need to be talking about, but we won't be talking about these things because we have these two terrible leaders. And Joy, as long as we're voting for the lesser of two evils, we're going to get more of these terrible leaders. I stepped up because I think it's time in America for a new generation of leadership. And at this point, I'm asking Americans to step up with me. And if you don't see me on your ballot, write me in, Evan McMullin. We've got to do better than this.
And I'm going to, first of all, correct myself that was Mike Lee in that video. And, of course, I am looking into light and cannot see. And so that was Mike Lee, not you. And I want to make sure we make that correction. And I want to let you talk about some issues. So I'm going to do a round robin with you on that. But I want to just one more bite on this. There's a Utah poll out that shows that this is the poll that you're doing the best in. You're at 12% in the latest Salt Lake Tribune poll. We can put that up. Donald Trump at 34, Hillary Clinton at 25, Gary Johnson 13. And there's a possibility that after all of these fellow Utah politicians have unendorsed Donald Trump, that he could, let's say, theoretically collapse. Let's say you were to win. But what if you did much better than a third-party candidate normally does, but only well enough to ensure that Donald Trump is still elected president of the United States or Hillary Clinton? Will you feel that you contributed to making one of these two president?
Well, there are a couple of things happening here, Joy. First of all, I firmly believe that Americans need to stop, we all need to stop making the lesser of two evils decisions with our votes. People have literally sacrificed their lives so that we could have the freedom to vote. And for us to treat it as a lesser of two evils decision is the wrong way. We've got to stand against what we know is wrong and stand up for what we know is right. That's what we need to do, or we'll never have better leaders. But to answer your question on this, look, you know, we will stand for right in this election. I do not believe that we are going to deny Hillary Clinton the White House. If that happens, or if she wins, it's going to be because Donald Trump was such a weak candidate. And by the way, if we helped prevent Donald Trump and a racist authoritarian from becoming president of the United States, then so be it. I'll wear that proudly, and I think my supporters will feel the same.
Let me quickly go through a round robin on domestic issues with you. We had Maria Chappelle-Nadal, who is the state senator from this area, on earlier. She highlighted two areas that are of importance to voters that are going to be listening to this debate tonight. What do you make of the Black Lives Matter movement, and what would you do as president regarding the issues that they are concerned about, criminal justice reform?
Well, I think Black lives do matter, and for heaven's sakes, it's 2016. We can say that. I find myself, Joy, it's so frustrating. I feel like I'm in a bad dream at times. One of the biggest things I feel that I have to say on the campaign trail is that all men and women were created equal. How is it that we're in 2016 and I still have to say this? It's again emblematic of our situation in which we have a crisis of leadership in this country. I do think we need criminal justice. We're locking up too many people for nonviolent crimes. We're breaking up families. We're pulling mainly African-American families away, or fathers away from their children. That's not what we want to do. It doesn't help these communities. It doesn't help our country. There are a range of other things, reforms we need to do, reforms we need to make to our poverty programs, reforms we need to make to education. But these are deeper problems than just sort of what happens between law enforcement and the African-American community, although there need to be reforms there too. I'm for body cameras. I think there needs to be more community policing, more engagement outside of law enforcement between the law enforcement community and the African American community and other communities. But it's more complicated than just than the way most people think about it. There are deep issues that we need to be better on.
Yeah, and very quickly, we are basically out of time. My producers are yelling at me to go, but I want to ask you one more question, because Maria Chappelle-Nadal brought up the issue of environmental justice as well. Do you believe that the federal government should, A, pay for the removal and replacement of pipes that are carrying dirty water into Flint, Michigan, and do you believe that local communities should have more say in where nuclear waste is buried? That's something, you're in a western state. It's an issue here in Missouri as well.
Well, as far as the pipes are concerned, they just have to be changed out. Now, whether it's the local, state level, or federal government, or a combination of all the above, we can look at that. Actually, I think states should be responsible for that, but it's hard for them to do that now because the federal government takes so much of the money in terms of taxes that states don't have the financial ability to always make the policies and the changes they need to make. So that's part of a bigger picture, which is about returning power to the states. But clearly, in this emergency situation, we've got to respond. As far as nuclear waste, yes, I think local communities should have a say for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Evan, thank you so much. I actually wish you'd be on that stage. I think you'd be an interesting participant tonight. Thank you, and good luck with your campaign.
Thank you, Joe.